It started with a quiet signal in the dark. The Galactic Council AS space station caught a strange message coming from the far edge of the Orion Arm. At first everyone thought it was just noise, but soon the pattern became clear. It was a message, repeating again and again. When the translation came through, every alien in the chamber froze. It was a human greeting. For hundreds of years the galaxy had believed humans were gone forever. Their homeworld had fallen, their colonies destroyed. No one had heard from them in centuries. Some said humans had destroyed themselves. Others thought they had simply vanished into the void. But now, they were back. Ambassador Terran of the Varn Collective stared at the signal display, his scaled hands shaking. "Are we sure?" he asked. "Yes," said the analyst. "The code matches old Terran transmissions. It's them." The chamber filled with noise, fear, excitement, and disbelief. Some wanted to welcome the humans. Others whispered warnings, remembering the old stories. The wars, the defiance, the way humans never surrendered. In the end, curiosity won. They sent a reply. 3 cycles later, a small silver ship entered Council space. It had no weapons, no escorts. The humans called it the Aurora. It looked weak, peaceful, almost harmless. From the ship came 5 humans, dressed in simple uniforms. Their leader was Captain Mara Vance. She smiled politely, her calm voice echoing through the chamber. "On behalf of the Terran Assembly," she said, "we thank you for your welcome. Humanity seeks peace and cooperation." The aliens applauded. After centuries, the children of Sol had returned, and they came in peace. Ambassador Terran stepped forward and offered his clawed hand. "The galaxy is glad to see you again," he said. "Let this be the beginning of friendship." Captain Vance smiled softly. "That is our hope," she replied. But her eyes told a different story, sharp, cold, and calculating. Weeks passed. The meetings continued. The humans were polite but distant. They shared words, not secrets. Their ship, the Aurora, stayed locked and silent. No one was allowed near it. Even the Council's best scanners couldn't see inside. Strange things began to happen. A patrol fleet went missing near the border. Communication stations stopped working. Encrypted Terran signals spread through space. When asked, the humans said nothing. Then one day, the Aurora went silent. No response, no movement. Council fleets surrounded the ship. Ambassador Terran spoke through the channel, his voice tense. "Captain Vance, respond. This area is under Council protection." There was only static. Moments later, scanners detected a massive energy wave near the system's gas giant. Something huge was coming out of hiding. Something cloaked. The stars flickered and bent. Space itself seemed to twist. And then, it appeared. A Terran warship, black, massive, and silent. Its surface shimmered as the cloak faded. The size of it made even the largest Council ships look like toys. Every weapon on its hull was armed and ready. Gasps filled the Council chamber. Fear spread like fire. Captain Vance's voice finally came through, calm and steady. "Council command, stand down. You are inside restricted Terran space. The Aurora was never alone." The message ended. The galaxy finally remembered why they had once feared humanity. Panic spread across the Galactic Council. The sudden appearance of the Terran warship had shaken every system in the room. Ships across the orbit scrambled for position, weapons charging, but no one dared to fire first. Ambassador Terran could hardly breathe as he watched the massive black vessel on the holo display. It was bigger than any ship the Council had ever built. Its dark metal surface reflected no light. It looked less like a machine and more like a shadow with purpose. "Open a channel," Terran ordered. A moment later, Captain Mara Vance appeared on the screen. Her face was calm, too calm. Behind her stood several Terran officers, all standing silently at attention. "Captain Vance," Terran said carefully, "this space belongs to the Council. You are violating—" Vance interrupted him softly. "Ambassador, the Council's maps are old. This system has belonged to the Terran Assembly for years. You are the ones who have crossed into our border." The room fell silent. No one spoke for several seconds. Finally, the council commander barked, "We have no record of any Terran claim here." Vance's expression didn't change. "You wouldn't. Our operations are not for public record." Her words hit like cold steel. In the orbit above, the Terran warship moved slowly, turning its enormous hull toward the nearest council fleet. Power signatures grew across its surface. Thousands of energy ports began to glow a deep crimson. Inside the council flagship, alarms screamed. "They're locking weapons," shouted a technician. "Hold fire," Terran yelled. "Do not attack. We don't know what they want yet." The council commander slammed a fist on the console. "They're threatening us." But before anyone could act, the Terran ship stopped charging. The red glow dimmed and all weapons went offline. The warship simply hovered, silent and still. Then Captain Vance spoke again, her voice echoing across every open channel. "The Terran Assembly does not seek war, but we will not tolerate interference. The Aurora came in peace. It was attacked first by your patrols near the gas giant." The counselors exchanged shocked looks. That was impossible. No one had fired on the Aurora. Ambassador Terran spoke carefully. "Captain Vance, our records show no aggression from our side." "Check again," she said coldly. "Your ships opened fire on a Terran drone. In defense, we responded." A new report appeared on Terran's console. The data matched her claim. One of the Council ES border patrols had indeed fired on an unidentified probe. A Terran probe. It was a mistake. A small one. But humanity had taken it personally. For a long moment, neither side spoke. Only the deep hum of the Terran engines filled the silence. Finally, Captain Vance leaned closer to the camera. "Ambassador, humanity remembers its past. We remember the wars, the betrayals, and the silence after Sol fell. We came here offering peace, but we will not kneel. Tell your council this: humanity is not what it once was." Then the transmission ended. The Terran warship slowly rotated away, its engines burning bright. Within seconds it vanished, not through speed, but through invisibility. The cloak shimmered and swallowed the ship whole. The council chamber filled with terrified whispers. "Did they just disappear again?" one delegate asked. Ambassador Terran stared at the empty screen. His voice was quiet, but full of dread. "They wanted to send a message," he said, "and we heard it. Somewhere beyond the stars, the humans were watching, and whatever they were planning next, it would not be peaceful." The Terran warship was gone, but its shadow still hung over the Galactic Council. Days passed, yet no one could stop thinking about it. News spread fast. Every world, every race, every military power knew that the humans had returned. In the Great Council chamber, tension filled the air. Delegates shouted over one another, blaming, arguing, demanding answers. "They came here under peace and brought a warship," one shouted. "They said we crossed their border," another argued. "They lie," a third yelled. "Humans always lie." Ambassador Terran sat silently, his claws tapping on the table. He had seen Captain Vance's eyes, cold, fearless, full of confidence. She had not been bluffing. Humanity truly believed this system belonged to them. Finally, the Council High Commander, an insectoid named Krith, slammed his staff against the floor. The room fell silent. "The Terrans have shown their strength," Krith said slowly. "But we will not be ruled by fear. We must prepare. Every fleet will move to the border. We will show them that the galaxy is not weak." The order was met with both cheers and dread. Far away, hidden in the darkness beyond the system, Captain Mara Vance stood inside the command deck of the Terran warship Erebus. The ship S bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of the engines and the faint glow of red lights. "Status?" she asked. "Cloak holding steady, Captain," replied her first officer, Lieutenant Graves. "No one can detect us." Vance nodded. "Good. Let them talk. Let them fear." She turned to the main screen where several smaller holograms showed other Terran ships hidden across the sector. Each one was cloaked, silent, and waiting. "The Council will move their fleet soon," Graves said. "Should we strike first?" Vance shook her head. "Not yet. We came to remind them we are still here, not to start a war." Graves frowned. "They won't see it that way." "I know," she said softly, "but fear is more powerful than fire." Back at the Council station, Ambassador Terran couldn't sleep. Every night, the image of the black warship haunted him. He had seen many fleets, many battles, but nothing like that. The humans had built something beyond logic, something that felt alive. Late one night, as he reviewed reports, his communication console blinked. A message had arrived, encrypted, untraceable. He hesitated before opening it. It read, "Ambassador Terran, do not let them provoke us. Watch the border. Watch your own." And at the bottom, a symbol. An old Terran insignia, faded but unmistakable. The flag of Sol. Terran's eyes widened. How did they contact him directly? How did they bypass the Council's secure channels? He leaned back, heart pounding. The humans were watching the Council closer than anyone realized. Meanwhile, deep in the void, the Erebus's sensors detected movement. Dozens of alien ships were forming along the border. Warships, scouts, carriers. The Council was mobilizing faster than expected. "Captain," Graves said, "they're coming." Vance stood still, her eyes locked on the glowing data streams. "Then it begins," she whispered. "Orders, ma'am." She looked out the viewport into the black sea of stars. "Hold position. We wait for them to make the first move." The humans would not strike first, but if attacked, they would not stop. The border between Council space and the Terran zone was now a wall of warships. Every day more fleets arrived, hundreds of alien vessels ready for battle. Yet no one had seen another Terran ship since the Erebus vanished. The silence was worse than any fight. Ambassador Terran stood inside the observation dome staring at the stars. He had been called to join the Council's war committee, but his thoughts were elsewhere. The message he had received from the Terrans still burned in his mind. "Watch your own." "Ambassador," said a voice behind him. It was Commander Krith. "We are preparing for first contact operations. The fleets will cross into the Terran zone tomorrow." Terran turned sharply. "That's madness. We don't even know how many ships they have." Krith's insectoid eyes glowed with confidence. "Fear is their weapon. We will take that from them." Terran sighed. "You're walking into a shadow, Commander. You cannot fight what you cannot see." But Krith was already gone. Far away in the darkness beyond sensor range, Captain Mara Vance watched the enemy fleets gathering. Her ship, Erebus, remained cloaked and silent, hidden within the dust ring of a dead moon. On the bridge, her officers worked quietly, scanning every signal and movement. "They're preparing to cross the line," Lieutenant Graves reported. "Looks like the Council is ready for war." Vance nodded slowly. "They still think we have one ship." Graves gave a small grin. "They're in for a surprise." On the main screen, dozens of hidden Terran signatures appeared. Stealth cruisers, carriers, drones, and defense platforms. All cloaked. All waiting. "Let them come," Vance said quietly. "They'll see the truth soon." The next day, the Council fleet moved forward. Thousands of alien ships crossed the border into Terran territory. The stars were filled with their energy trails, their lights bright against the dark void. Then, everything went dark. Sensors died. Communication links crashed. Navigation systems failed. "What's happening?" Krith shouted aboard the Council flagship. "Unknown, sir. It's some kind of field. Our systems are blind." One by one, Terran ships decloaked, black shadows sliding out of the darkness, silent and unstoppable. The Erebus appeared first, leading the formation. Behind it came hundreds of others. They had been surrounded the entire time. "By the stars," whispered a pilot. "They were here all along." Captain Vance opened a channel to the entire invasion fleet. Her voice was calm, but carried power. "Council forces, you have crossed into restricted Terran space. Power down your weapons and retreat immediately. We will not warn you again." Commander Krith's voice roared back through the comms. You don't scare us, human. You hide behind tricks. Vance's tone hardened. You mistake control for trickery. Then she raised her hand. Outside, the black void flashed red. Terran drones fired beams of energy that cut through the nearest ships like blades through paper. In less than a minute, half the Council's vanguard fleet was gone, vaporized, erased from the stars. Krith screamed orders, but chaos has already taken over. Ships collided, engines failed, and the fleet fell apart. Vance gave one last command. Cease fire, let them leave. The battle was over almost as soon as it began. What remained of the Council fleet limped away, humiliated and terrified. Back in the Council chamber, Terran listened to the emergency broadcast. His hands trembled. They didn't destroy us, he whispered. They just wanted to show us they could. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy understood something terrible. Humanity didn't fight for conquest, they fought for control. The battle was over, but the echoes of it spread through the stars. Every world in the Galactic Council heard the same report. The invasion fleet had been destroyed in minutes. Thousands of ships gone. Entire squadrons lost without a trace. And the humans? Not a single Terran casualty. The Council chamber was filled with fear and shame. Leaders from 100 species argued, their voices shaking the air. They didn't even want war, one shouted. They let us live so we could tell the story, said another. This is worse than defeat, whispered a third. They wanted us to know how powerless we are. Ambassador Terran sat quietly, his eyes on the glowing map of the border. The Terran zone had expanded, without fighting, without invasion. The Council had simply moved back, too afraid to get near it again. Commander Krith was gone. His flagship had vanished with the rest of his fleet. There were no wrecks, no escape pods, only empty space where thousands had died. In the dark of deep space, aboard the Terran warship Erebus, Captain Mara Vance stood at the viewing deck. The glow of distant stars reflected off her calm face. Lieutenant Graves approached. The Council fleets have retreated, Captain. They won't return soon. Vance nodded slowly. Good. Make sure they understand we don't want their planets or their power. We only want silence. Graves frowned. Silence? Yes, she said quietly. For centuries they believed we were gone. Let them believe what they want now, that humans are shadows in the dark, that we're watching. She looked out at the stars again. Fear keeps the peace better than treaties. Back in Council space, Ambassador Terran sent a private message to his homeworld. It was short and simple. Do not provoke the Terrans again. They are not an enemy we can understand. He didn't sleep that night. His thoughts kept returning to the human captain's eyes, cold but not cruel, like someone carrying a memory heavier than war. The Council's scientists worked day and night trying to study the battlefield, but their probes vanished each time they crossed into Terran space. It was as if the void itself swallowed them. Weeks later, a strange signal appeared near the edge of Council territory. At first it looked like noise, but the pattern was unmistakable. Terran code again. Everyone in the chamber held their breath as the message translated on the screen. Do not approach. Do not attack. Maintain peace. This is our only warning. No threats. No demands. Just a promise that echoed across the galaxy. Ambassador Terran stood up slowly. They are not expanding, he said quietly. They're building something. What do you mean? Another asked. He turned toward the stars beyond the window. They're preparing, not for war, but for something bigger. Aboard the Erebus, Captain Vance watched the new outposts being built, dark stations hidden within the asteroid fields, cloaked from every sensor. A Terran network growing quietly in the dark. Graves looked uneasy. Captain, are we sure this is the right path? Vance answered without looking at him. The galaxy once forgot humanity. We won't let that happen again. She turned away, her voice calm but full of steel. Let them remember our silence. Months passed, but the galaxy did not heal. Trade routes near the Terran border stayed empty. Fleets avoided the region like it was cursed. Every world whispered about the humans, about their ships that no one could see, about the battle that had lasted only minutes. In the council's main hall, fear had turned into anger. Delegates demanded answers, demanded strength. "We cannot let them control the border," one shouted. "They are hiding something," another said. Ambassador Terran listened quietly. He knew the truth. They were hiding everything. When the meeting ended, a young aide ran to him. "Sir, there's been another signal. It came from the Terran zone." Terran froze. "What kind of signal?" "It's coordinates, sir. To a meeting place." Far from the council worlds inside the Erebus, Captain Mara Vance stood before a holographic map. Red lines stretched across star systems, connecting dozens of hidden stations. Together, they formed a massive network, something the rest of the galaxy couldn't detect. Lieutenant Graves entered quietly. "The council sent a message, Captain. They want to talk." Vance looked up, expression unreadable. "Do they now? After everything?" "Yes, ma'am. They've agreed to meet at neutral ground. No fleets, no weapons." Vance thought for a moment, then nodded. "Send a reply. We'll attend. Let them see what we're building." The meeting took place on a small moon covered in ice. The air was thin, the sky black. A single structure stood at the center, a neutral station, old but functional. Ambassador Terran arrived first. When the Terran shuttle landed, his heart raced. 5 figures stepped out, dressed in the same dark uniforms as before. Captain Vance led them. She stopped a few steps away and nodded politely. "Ambassador." "Captain," he replied carefully. "You have the galaxy's attention. I hope you plan to use it wisely." Vance gave a faint smile. "That depends on how wisely the galaxy listens." They entered the chamber together. No guards, no translators, only words. Terran took a deep breath. "We saw what you built. Stations hidden in the dark. What are you planning, Captain?" Vance looked at him calmly. "We're building a defense ring. The Terran assembly will never be invaded again. Every world within our space will be protected by this network. No ship enters without our permission." "That sounds like isolation," Terran said softly. "You could rejoin the council, share your power. The galaxy needs cooperation, not fear." Vance's tone hardened. "Fear keeps people honest, Ambassador. You saw how quickly your fleets came for us. You didn't come to welcome us, you came to control us." Terran had no answer. Outside the station, the stars shimmered as a Terran ship decloaked silently in orbit. Just a reminder of who truly held power. "Tell your council," Vance said, turning to leave, "that humanity is done asking for trust. We'll protect ourselves our way." She paused at the door, her voice quieter. "But remember this. We don't want another war. The galaxy will have peace, even if we have to enforce it." Terran watched her go, his thoughts heavy. Humans were no longer just a species returning home. They had become something else, something greater, colder, and far more dangerous. He looked up at the Terran ship in the black sky. "They're not hiding," he whispered. "They're preparing for the future." And for the first time, he wasn't sure if that future included the council at all. The icy moon faded behind the Terran shuttle as it returned to the shadows of deep space. Captain Mara Vance stood silently by the viewport, watching the stars drift past. Her crew moved around her, calm and disciplined, each one aware that something larger than war was beginning. "Captain," Lieutenant Graves said quietly, "our outer stations are operational. Phase 2 is complete." Vance nodded. "And the colonies?" "Growing fast," he replied. "The first wave of civilians has arrived. Terraforming has begun on New Titan and Epsilon Gate." Vance allowed herself a small smile. "Good. Humanity needs homes again, not just bunkers." Meanwhile, in the Galactic Council, panic was returning. Reports arrived daily. Terran stations appearing in empty sectors, dark ships seen at the edge of sensor range, colonies built where no one dared to go before. "They're expanding again," shouted one delegate. "They said they wouldn't," another argued. Ambassador Terran rose slowly, his face pale. They never said they wouldn't expand, he reminded them. They said they wouldn't invade. Silence filled the chamber. Everyone understood the difference. The Terrans weren't conquering worlds. They were building them. Quietly, efficiently, and without permission. In orbit of a red dwarf star, a new Terran station came online. Its design was unlike anything the Council had ever built. Black hull, energy lines pulsing faint blue, completely silent. It wasn't just a base. It was part of the network. Inside, engineers worked under dim light, guided by AI voices. The Terran network stretched now across dozens of systems, connecting colonies, ships, and hidden armories. Every piece was cloaked, invisible to foreign sensors. Together it formed what the humans called the Net of Sol. Captain Vance visited the new outpost with her senior officers. "From this point," she said, "we'll see every movement across the border. No surprise fleets, no hidden spies." Lieutenant Graves looked uneasy. "We're turning the galaxy into a cage, Captain. Are we sure we're the good guys?" Vance looked at him for a long moment. "The good guys," she repeated softly. "Graves, we're the survivors. That's enough for now." Back in Council space, Ambassador Terran watched the holographic map update again. The Terran zone had doubled in size, but no one had died. No battles, no threats. Just slow, unstoppable progress. One aide whispered, "Maybe we should talk to them again." Terran shook his head. "They won't listen. Not now. The humans don't need the Council anymore." He turned off the map and stared into the dark beyond the stars. "They're creating a future without us." On the Erebus, Captain Vance stood on the command deck, watching the network's glow expand across the star map. For the first time, humanity had something more than survival. They had control. She turned to her crew. "Prepare for the next phase," she ordered. "Send out the beacon. Let every world know. Terra is open again." Graves hesitated. "And if the Council responds?" Vance's eyes were cold but calm. "Then they'll learn what it means to live beside gods." Outside, the Erebus turned and vanished into the black, its engines leaving no trace, only silence and fear behind.